Hey y'all, hey, today's recipe is peach cobbler. We're doing this with the shortcut method. We're using Pillsbury Pie Crusts. Real easy, simple, only a few ingredients. So what you're going to need are sliced peaches, and then you're also going to need your pie crust, butter, some cinnamon, nutmeg, and also we're going to use cornstarch. We're going to start off with this amount, but we're going to add extra as we go. Alright, so what you want to do is go ahead and drain your peaches, put all your juice into your pot. So we're going to start off with this one. I did the first one the hard way. I did the second one a much easier method I'm going to show you here. So I already have one in the can of the peaches drained. So we're going to go ahead and add the second in there. Just open the can most of the way and go ahead and drain your peaches as much as you can. And then you can go ahead and, what I like to do is use a spoon that has a strainer in it and scoop the peaches out, so I still have like a little bit of residual juice that's in the bottom of the can, and I can easily just pour it in my pot. If you just poured all the peaches in at once and a little bit of juice that you could have retained, then you wouldn't, right? Alright, so just scoop your peaches into your bowl. You can't see it here, but that's what I'm using, and look at all the extra juice that you have. Okay, so after you've done that, you want to go ahead and put your pot on the stove. And then we're going to go ahead and get started with our cornstarch. Okay, and just whisk that right into your juice, because you want to thicken that up. Even though these peaches were in heavy syrup, the juice is still not thick enough for your cobbler. I prefer a cobbler that's not too watery, like a good balance of juice but not too juicy. So this is how we're making it today. Alright, so go ahead and add your butter in, and then we're going to add our sugar. I didn't have the sugar in the beginning, but we're adding sugar, your nutmeg, and then we're also going to add our cinnamon, and then of course we're going to mix everything together. Alright, so I just used the whisk. Even though the butter is like in cubes, it's okay. You can just go ahead and whisk everything. It'll all melt together. And then you're just going to let that simmer for a few minutes, and of course it'll start to thicken because we've already added our cornstarch. So you can see that here. So at this point we're going to go ahead and add our peaches into the pot. So after you've added your peaches and you want to make sure that your juice is thick enough, you can go ahead and remove your pot from the stove until you're ready to put it together and make your cobbler. But what I like to do is go ahead and cook the peaches a little bit. That's just my preference. Either way it goes, it's fine. You just want to make sure that your juice is thick enough at this point before you remove this filling from the stove. Alright, so we have that going together. Alright, so I'm stirring this together, and I can see like it's a little juicy, you know what I mean? A little too juicy. I don't want my peach cobbler to be runny. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more cornstarch in here. Okay, and there's our extra cornstarch, and just like a couple of teaspoons at a time. I really didn't measure at this point. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. You just want to add a little bit at a time and let it simmer after you add it to make sure that it doesn't get too thick on you. Now you will have like little clumps in here. That's why I added the cornstarch in the beginning, to try to avoid this, but it's all right. You know, we cook, we adjust as we go. The lumps will dissolve. You will not notice it in your peach cobbler. You can even see here that it's already dissolved, but it's still not thick enough. All right, so I'm going to add a little bit more cornstarch here. Okay, and this is the last bit of cornstarch. Alright, add that right in. Do the same thing. Let it simmer. Alright, and then we're good to go at this point. So what I did is went ahead and turned the stove off after this, and let everything just kind of, you know, simmer on down together until I was ready to go ahead and prepare everything. Alright, so the pie crust. What you want to do is just take them right out of the package, and you can roll them right out. Just peel a little bit. Just be gentle with it, and just roll it out. Okay, and after you're done with that, you can place it into your Pyrex dish. Just like that. So since I'm using two, I always use two bottom crusts. Even if I'm making them in a separate dish, I always use two bottom crusts just for the extra layer. So just place your pie crust into your Pyrex dish, kind of bring it up on the sides a little bit so you have some crust on the edges. Okay, and then all you have to do after you've done that, then you can get ready to work on your second pie crust, and you do the same thing. So what I like to do is, because once you add your mix in there, what can happen is if you just put these pie crusts for your mix on top, and then you put your top layer on, what can happen is your crust is a little doughy on the bottom if you don't bake it first. So what we're going to do is place these in the oven for about 10-15 minutes, so just judging by your oven, until they're like slightly golden brown, and then they're ready for us to pour in our filling. Just a trick that I learned, it works like a charm. You don't want your crust to be doughy. Alright, but first we're going to butter it. We're using the old school method, just taking the other half of the stick of butter that we used earlier and just spreading it all around on the bottom. Okay, and once you have it fully buttered, it's ready for the oven. Alright, so our crust is out of the oven, it's ready to go. We're pouring our filling in here. My filling it's just warm at this point. I went ahead and let it cool down some. Alright, so pour your filling in there, and then you get ready to go ahead and add the top crust on the same way. Now you can also make a lattice using these pie crusts. The pie crusts are really easy to cut. You can use a knife, or you can use a pizza cutter, or any type of dough cutter or something like that. It's real easy to cut and to make into strips. It's just my preference just to have the peach cobbler like this. I like to cut into the crust and have plenty of crust on top. I don't really prefer the lattice with the gaps and stuff like that. So really make it your own. But once you're done laying the pie crust in here, you want to also go ahead and butter them again. If you're going to use a lattice, you can just melt some butter down and brush your dough. And then you want to go ahead and sprinkle it with some sugar and some cinnamon and some nutmeg, just a little bit, to give it a little bit of extra flavor on top, and also give it a little bit of color on top. And after you've done that, you just place it in the oven, bake it for about 30 minutes, and you're done. So peach cobbler is excellent by itself, but it doesn't hurt to have an extra scoop of vanilla ice cream on the side. I didn't do that this day, but just keep that in mind when you're making this recipe. So as always, we hope you enjoyed it. Please like this video, please share it, subscribe to our channel, and we'll definitely catch you next time.